Brandel Chamblee is joining us now from Erin Hills here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing there, Brandel?
I'm terrific, thanks. How are you doing?
Tell me about this kid, Xander Schauffele, that's sitting at the top of the leaderboard. He just dropped a shot, but tell me about this kid.
Well, he's young. He's inexperienced. Besides John Rahm, he's the second youngest rookie on the PGA Tour. He's done a little bit of, cool things in amateur golf. You know, he won the Cal State Amateur. He lost in the finals of the Western Amateur. But he's only had one top 10 on the PGA Tour. He's still sort of finding his sea legs, so to speak. But he hits at 9 miles, and because the golf course is so different to what you'd expect at a U.S. Open, we expected to see some surprises, and it's not unusual to have somebody pop up early in a U.S. Open like this.
Well, this is now the second time in 3 years where the conversation is the golf course is not what you'd expect at a U.S. Open. So maybe is this now what we should expect at a U.S. Open, Brandel?
I guess. The U.S. Open has sort of acquiesced to the fact that, guys hit it a long way and hit it crooked. And so they're making the fairways larger. They're making the rough less penal. So, I think we're getting some surprises. I'll say this, though. Xander, even though he hasn't played particularly well this year, in the last 2 weeks that he has played, he's found form. He hit it as straight as he's hit it all year long. At Colonial, which was 2 events ago. He was the second longest player in the field at FedEx St. Jude last week, and he's putted it the best he's putted all year. So he comes into the U.S. Open with some form. And again, this isn't a golf course that, unless you think about what it is that you're doing, in other words, playing in the U.S. Open, if you can somehow keep that out of your mind, the golf course doesn't attack you. You can attack it. The fairways are 50, 40, 50, 60, 70 yards wide. And if you can hit it out there, you've got short iron to all these greens. I mean, the yardage that people are talking about, 7,700 yards long or whatever, it's not playing anywhere near that.
Brandel Chamblee of the Golf Channel joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. The featured group of Day, Rose, and McIlroy, it's kind of looking ugly. What's going on with some of the bold-faced names with those guys and Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth? What can you tell me about this, Brandel?
Well, Day, Rose, and Johnson have all suffered from injuries. Even though it wasn't really talked about much, when Rose was playing in the final round of the Masters, he was grabbing his back and favoring his back. And he has a history in the last year or so of having a bad back. Jason Day, similarly. Rory McIlroy, similarly. Dustin Johnson hurt himself at the Masters slipping down the stairs, and with the birth of his second child, you can well imagine, and understandably so, that he's distracted. So, again, a lot of the top players coming in here were either injured, out of sorts, or distracted by sort of family obligations. It's the case with Dustin Johnson. Obviously, it was the case with Phil Mickelson not even being here. So, a very weird U.S. Open thus far.
Well, and then the conversation, or at least the note that it is the first major sans Phil / Tiger since the 94 Masters. And, the conversation about Phil there this week is what, Brandel?
Well, I think everybody understands. He's always been a big family man. But, listen, he's at that age where the window closes so fast. And the fact that he had played really, really well at FedEx St. Jude and the golf course, in terms of finding a golf course that would sort of fit Phil, because Phil's always been a little wild off the tee, actually really wild off the tee, I don't know if he could have found a golf course that fit him any better. And, he has a chance to join 5 men who've completed the career Grand Slam. So, personally, it wouldn't have surprised me if he would have just watched it, FaceTimed his family, watched it that morning and teed off. And gone about his business. But, to each his own. Nobody's faulting him for what he did. But the event certainly misses him.
And the conversation about Tiger around Erin Hills is what, Brandel?
Worry, actually. I think a lot of people were, initially just sort of sad that Tiger wasn't playing well and that he was injured. Now, all of a sudden, it's turned to just worry about his well-being. I think everybody in the world can read between the lines. They can sort of guess what's going on and know how serious it is. And, golf is way, way on the back burner. Now it's just, hopefully he gets his life back in order and can put the pieces back together and enjoy, some semblance of a life, a normal life. And if that includes golf, even better yet, because who wouldn't like to see Tiger Woods come out here and have some semblance of a nice little run sometime in his 40s?
Well, I mean, Brandel, I mean, you know better than anybody else, certainly from the golf world, and just me being a young guy sitting on the Sports Center set as Tiger was ascending and then dominating. I always thought, you know, and I did actually have these conversations with Stuart Scott and my other colleagues back in the day, that what would Tiger look like when he hit his 40s, right? Like what would his career arc be?
You mean when he was healthy and when he was young? And
right, exactly. That's when we were having this conversation, like just to extrapolate it out. And none of us at all, nobody thought that what might befall him was not just physical. We all assume that, you know, you get older. The mental aspect. Jordan is the only guy that I could ever remember to be in the conversation about what was going on between the temples, the focus, the drive. The fact that that is now in question, I just can't believe it. I really can't. It's just shocking.
No, nobody can. You know, put the most recent events that took place out of the picture, and if you just look at the golf that he had, and you know, it'd be the equivalent of Michael Jordan coming back late in his career, making another comeback, and not being able to make a free throw. I mean, that's how much his game has deteriorated. You know, between his ears. You know, I've said it for eons now that the end of his career will be as sad as the beginning was brilliant. You know, he ruined the best body that the game of golf's ever seen. He ruined the best golf swing that the game of golf has ever seen. And he did that because he wanted to have the perfect body and because he was in search of the perfect golf swing. And it's not so much that he barked up the wrong tree looking for the perfect golf swing, it's that he barked up every tree. And, you know, if there's lessons to learn from Tiger Woods on the way up, and all these players are sort of, you know, a nod to the dais that he was, there's also lessons to learn from Tiger Woods on the way down. You cannot, we've seen it, you cannot turn golf, you cannot turn sport into science. It's been tried a million times. It never works. You know, it may seduce players into thinking it's going to work for a little while, but sooner or later they destruct. And I've seen it way too many times, and I've never, ever seen it turn out positive.
Brandel Chamblee of the Golf Channel. Before I let you go, Paul Casey just birdied to go 7 under. Rickie Fowler will be teeing off at 7 under in the third hour of this show. Best you can with 54 holes for Fowler and the rest of his groups to go in this U.S. Open. How do you see this playing out over the weekend?
Well, I'd keep my eye on Brooks Koepka. You know, he's a mammoth talent. He's only won once on the PGA Tour, but he's capable of hitting it straight, shot after shot after shot, and hitting it 330, 40 yards. He's capable of stringing together great rounds. He's dangerous. Not talking much about him. Rickie Fowler, statistically, is the best player on the PGA Tour all around. Paul Casey is way too talented to have only won once on the PGA Tour, but he has a history of playing himself into position and then backing up very quickly, getting himself into position and backing up again. He has a history of doing that. He even did it today. You know, he started out par birdie and then went bogey, par, triple, bogey, and then he's made 4 birdies in a row at 17, 18, 1, and 2. So, you know, he's up and down. He's a very talented player, but he'll slow down and get very deliberate and lose his rhythm. It's happened a lot. He's 39 years of age. I'll be curious to see if he can keep his rhythm through the weekend.
Brandel, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a good one.
Thanks so much, Rich. Take care.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, please download our app. There's lots of fun things there other than just more of the videos you just saw. You can call us from the app. You can email us from the app. Just download it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.